right, and welcome to the P114 Filmmakers podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jesse Knight.
I'm Randall Lanier.
Cat Holmes.
E12. Tyler Schultze.
And this is Season 2, Episode 12, if I'm not mistaken. And we're here to talk about all things filmmaking. And today, in specific, we're going to be talking about music as it's involved in filmmaking, whether it's the score, which you normally think about when you think about movies and music, but also because there's been a few things this year that have come out. I'd like to talk about films that are about music, or even shows and stuff like that, whether it's the industry or about specific artists or bands, whether it's a documentary or a narrative. Everything goes to me. And I just want to start off real quick. I just saw the Dirt on Netflix, which is the Motley Crue story. And, you know, I was around during that time when that music was big and all that. And Motley Crue is one of those bands I didn't really listen to as much as the other. I had one of their albums on a cassette, but it wasn't my favorite by far. I was into Rat and Twisted Sister.
Yeah.
But they were around at the same time. So, you know, and I thought it was, just starting off, I thought it was pretty good, fairly representational of what happened. And even the stuff that didn't happen, there's all that information like on YouTube and stuff of like, well, what they decided to change in the story and stuff. And it was always stuff that just kind of made sense, whether it was a composite character or something like that, that nothing really threw off like what happened, or it didn't feel like it was necessarily a lie or anything. And it certainly showed the bad side and sort of the good side of their experience and stuff like that. They didn't really hide a lot of that, you know. But anyway, I'll open it up to you guys. Anybody else had seen The Dirt?
My mom did. She came in the other night. Oh my God, that was so good. I was like, cool. And Chastity saw it, but I hadn't seen it yet. So
Yeah.
I was actually planning on watching it. My mom was talking about how cool it was. And there's something she said about it. I don't know about, she didn't realize that they were that,
Rowdy?
yeah.
They were, you know, according to the tour manager, like one of the worst.
Yeah, she was talking about that. I was like, well, I definitely need to watch this because I love stuff like that, especially rock and roll.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
my favorite genre,
Right.
music. So, but to add to it, though, what you were saying, and I know this is more like, it's not about like not a musical or about a music like a band or anything, but I love music in movies because that's 9 times out of 10 that's where I find my music. Like I've got the last 10 songs I added to iTunes was from a movie.
Right, so part of soundtrack or score.
Exactly.
Right.
And I love because that's where you get the different types of songs, like Transparent. I've been watching that on Amazon Prime.
Right.
And it's like their original. It's so good. And there was a song that I just listen to every day now because of that show. And I just,
Right.
you know, and I'm into weird music, so it's good music, but it's weird. So it's hard to find those gems
Right.
that you can find on like a movie or something. Because, you know, I think we're all alike when we hear something. It's like, you know, that's going to be good to somebody. And then
Right.
to that person, they have a genre, and that genre is going to love that song.
Oh, yeah, for
So
sure.
if you watch something kind of indie, you're going to get really indie music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And that's an indie show, so makes sense. But anyways.
Are you talking about specific, like, score or, like, songs
This
that
was
you hear?
No,
Yeah.
both. I think this band though actually ended up making that song for this movie, for the
Right.
show, because it was premiered in the whole show the whole time.
Right.
So it kind of became the theme song a little bit. But yeah, no, both. I love both.
Cool. Yeah, I think of, like, one that pops in mind, especially with songs, is like when Tarantino came in, like with Pulp Fiction. A lot of those songs were stuff that that weren't really top 40 hits at that time or anything like that. It was stuff from the past or stuff people had forgotten, but it caused a surge of interest in those bands and music once again, which is kind of nice, you know.
It helps the bands.
And it became a big part when people think of that music, that movie. They think of those songs, you know, and that sound and that music related to it, you know, which is, you know, gets into like how music and stuff and score especially can be kind of go to the brand of something like Star Wars. There's the Imperial March, there's the Star Wars theme itself, all that kind of stuff. When you hear those tones, you know exactly what it's talking about.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, I mean, you brought up Tarantino. I think the reason why, I mean, I hate to be negative Danny or whatever about this, but
Go ahead.
that that the reason why I think I didn't connect with Tarantino movies a lot is that all that music I'd heard. I grew up listening to all that stuff,
Yeah.
so you know there was nothing that was.
It wasn't new to you.
It didn't, yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, and I knew it was, you know, but that's needed anymore. So then,
Sure.
but I mean, it's just like that's why I probably didn't connect with
But to a
Tarantino in that
mainstream
respect
audience,
anyway.
they didn't know that
Right,
stuff,
yeah.
you know.
I could see where, you know, it did have, because I mean, when I was a kid, Stand By Me was a good, it's not known as a big song movie, but it has a very good soundtrack because it has a lot of the songs from that era in it or whatever.
The movie, you mean?
Yeah, the movie.
Such a great movie.
You're right. And so it has the songs from that time frame of the movie, and that's where I kind of got an affliction of that song, those songs, because every time I hear those songs, on the, you know, or whatever, I hit list to think about that movie, you know, certain songs or whatever. And so yeah, that's why I feel like the same way with that.
No one had heard of really. Certain people know Brian Setzer and equate him with the band that was popular in the
Stray Cats.
'80s, the Stray Cats. But
Mhm.
as soon as that was done, it was gone, and no one really knew him so much. So that whole opening thing, you know,
What are you
was
talking
pretty cool. The beginning of Pulp Fiction.
Oh, well, I was talking about Stand By Me. You
guitar-
flipped over
yeah,
that Pulp
sorry.
Fiction for a second.
I know,
What?
I know.
But okay, yeah. I honestly don't remember that song at all. Honestly,
Right. It's what it opens. It's the guitar that the movie
Oh,
opens
okay.
up with. And that was huge. Yeah.
didn't stick with me enough. I mean, good. But yeah, I mean, it's but like I said, with Stand By Me, that's interesting. There's a movie that came out, which is a few years ago now, but Love and Mercy is about Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys and his struggle and how he. It's okay movie. It's got John Cusack in it. Plays the later. It's flashbacks and to present day or whatever type thing.
Right.
And or later on in his life, maybe not necessarily present day, but I didn't like the present day stuff or the future stuff or whatever you want to say.
Right.
It just didn't play to me. It didn't play well. Whatever. I don't know.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that went on that I think that was glossed over a little bit.
Right.
But the earlier stuff I enjoyed because it showed his brain, if you will, of how creating the music they did.
Right.
And that to me was really interesting to see.
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff too, where you're seeing a progression in things.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
think about those songs, some of the songs that are so, oh yeah, it's a good song and everything like that. But then you think of how the instruments or the music play together.
Right.
How he got the idea for that little bit of, you know, this, a little bit of horn, a little bit of this, or a little
Right.
bit of the organ, or whatever type thing in the song. And it's just like, and you hear the song, and it's just like, oh, it's a good song, but then you just don't hear the little bit snippets of stuff that's in there that makes
Right.
the song really pop.
For sure.
But and his brain, what he, like I said, he did it all in his mind. It was just like he just, you know, just thought about, oh, this is going to be a sound, this is going to be a good this or everything. It just like it's an interesting look on that kind of process.
I love that kind of stuff, and I like when they do it in narrative form. And the Motley Crue thing was sort of like that. How they started, how they kind of figured out some of the stuff. There's a lot of information I didn't know. I find that stuff interesting. Really cool. What is some input from y'all?
I love when you have like a Spirit, where you have a rock singer, Ryan Adams, coming and he's writing all the songs, and he's got a great voice for the feel of the whole movie, and it fits so perfectly. It was beautiful. And like Lord for the Hunger Games.
She did that?
Yeah, or at least the last two.
So good.
It was really
So I love Lord.
It was perfect.
Really?
Her voice is the haunting kind of.
That's like what she does.
in a great
love
way.
it.
Keep going. Keep going. Don't mind me. I'm invisible. Not really, but you know.
Go take your photos. You know, kind of reminds. Did you just say Tarzan?
Tarzan 2, yeah, with
Yeah,
Phil
like-
Collins.
Oh my God, that was an incredible track
Oh yeah.
for that movie. Oh my God, like I don't know, that's just what
Two
stood
of
out
my
to me as a
favorite
kid. is-
soundtracks.
And then wait, he did both of them?
No, Ryan Adams did Spirit and Phil Collins did
Oh, okay, I was
Tarzan.
gonna say. There's
But they're two my favorite.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My mind is talking, but I'm a bad listener.
Tyler, do you have anything?
Yeah, my favorite process of creating the film is once you put that soundtrack in, it just like fills in all the little things, puts it together. I definitely love the theme music for all the genres, like Pirates of the Caribbean or and Indiana Jones and all that. I think with that, it definitely creates hype when you put it in the movies, because then people are like, that's it. It goes with that, Definitely a big lover in that.
You're good at it too. You ever seen his stuff? He's good at with his sounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's really good.
It's also a curse, because if it's not exactly right, I'll spend hours finding that.
Yeah, but that's anybody that loves anything or good is good at it. They're gonna do that.
But I think it's funny. If I had the talent to compose, I think I would definitely tap into a little bit of it, because it's just so much fun, put that music together, because it really does add it.
I envy you. I've never really been able to I always thought about writing, something, and just listening to music, because I went through a long process of just I study, not study music, but I just really listen to music, because I like the words to hear, and I really want to know what the artist is saying with those words, and what, and that's why a lot of times I don't like a song, because what does that mean? I don't understand what you're talking about, and it doesn't make any sense, whatever that makes.
Sometimes
song may
one
be.
line can do it for me. It doesn't have to make sense. It's just one line can sound pretty good.
I think it's funny you talk about the words. I'm so weird. I don't even really listen for the words. I'm just listening for how it sounds. Because, there's so many songs that I put in short films that they have nothing to do with what's happening, but the sound works with it. And the audience just doesn't really care. They're just like, yeah. Because, what's it, Immigration and Thor, that doesn't,
Yeah.
it's just really there because it's that sounds awesome,
cool.
you know what I mean?
Cool.
And it works. It doesn't really play with the story. So sometimes it works, but I definitely agree with
You ever seen Juno?
Yes.
I love that
Juno.
soundtrack too.
It's perfect.
It's super.
It's that kind of quirky, but
indie,
it, and it
quirky
feels
alternative indie.
It feels like the soundtrack to life.
Yeah.
I did like that too.
I've always found that I'm a big fan of
That's my
the exaggerated
parents' theme
80s
song.
keyboard
Really,
sounds.
That's what they chose. They're
Beats
like
that
"This
I
is
found
our
are my
song."
favorites. I love
Keyboard error.
My dad, he's a big keyboard player. He's pretty good, and he'll just go and start mixing beats with that. Oh, I swear, I'm just that's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Well, see, sometimes I for instance, you just brought up 80s. I go back to listen to some 80s songs again, the same thing. Listen to her words or whatever, and finding out what they said. What does that mean? What do they say with that? And I'm like, wow, I really love this song, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah, it's funny.
and then I'm
what is it?
I'm torn because I'm like, I love the song, but then
Living on a Prayer. For the longest time when I was young, I thought you said a prairie.
Me too.
I just now have realized it's a prayer, and I was like, oh.
She's my cherry pie.
Right? But I'm like, hey, it sounds awesome though.
That's
what
what
it's all
that
about.
means. But I love
Well, I like
prairie.
what I love about music.
You know what I mean?
That. I love
You can take it and say it a certain way where it's not I'm happy. Instead of I'm happy, you can say something totally different and make it sound better than that. And that's what I like about it.
I noticed when I was listening. Well, I know we're going. Well, we're going anyway. As long as we're talking about music. In the 70s, there's a lot of songs that sound so they're soft rock songs and they sound so romantic and everything like that. But if you really listen to the words and understand the words, they are brought. It's not a romantic song at all. It's about cheating on people.
Yeah.
There's a song called "Torn Between Two Lovers," and that sounds like a woman because it's a woman singing the song. She's torn between a man and another man. They want to be with her and all this other stuff.
I know
She actually was cheating on a man, and she's torn between
this
her lover and her husband.
Have y'all listened to that famous Justin Bieber song that's got the Spanish in it?
Yeah.
I've heard that he did it.
I actually have friends who lived in Colombia for a long
Say,
time.
I went to
so
Puerto
they
Rico and
don't
it came on the
sing it.
radio, and us dumb Americans, we don't understand it. We're just sounds great, sounds romantic. It's actually really sexual, and the Puerto Ricans are they're I'm like, wait, why do you guys hate this song? And then my friend Andy, he's like, well, let me translate it for you. And as it's playing, he's singing. I'm going,
Really?
where? What's that? What?
Right.
Oh no.
It's just funny because it's like, oh, it just sounds cool. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and some people like choruses in songs. They don't necessarily listen to the words, but the chorus to the song is really cool.
Kind of me.
But they don't listen to the other words of the song.
My favorite music is just instrumental. That's probably my favorite. That's why it's like, yo, tell us, here, what you got on your phone, let's listen to your music. And they're like, like, what the heck is this, Tyler? I'm like, because I just really
Be
enjoy that.
different,
Just 'cause they
Tyler.
all
Stop,
sound
don't
like
conform.
But I love hearing it because it plays the story, you know? You can always, like, think of a story with
Yeah.
it. I do that a lot with getting ideas.
I love music.
But yeah.
Music's
Just for
great.
fun, I tried to make my own soundtrack one time, but I was reading a book and I was like, this would be great as a movie. So I thought to myself, I'm not gonna write a script, so well, what would the soundtrack be like? And I felt like it would be a Celtic sounding soundtrack. So I had the flu at the time, so I was awake a lot.
Yeah.
So I would look through and be like, it needs a little bit more violin. Like, it needs a little bit more fiddle. Can I have a little bit more Irish flute? And I could never find anything, you know, that was the right length and then it had the right stuff. It took forever to find.
Really?
Yeah, it takes a long time.
I think it was 2 years before I had,
What the fuck?
like, half of it done.
You would like that Love and Mercy movie, like I was talking about, where he was. I mean, you know, if all y'all would like it, because at least that process of him creating the music or whatever in the beginning, the other stuff was, to me, was just, I don't know, just threw me off because the other stuff was so good, and it's just like the other stuff was just like,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, him just like you just said, basically, we were saying, you know, him getting little things and finding out little things, put it in the songs, and it just was an interesting process. You can look and see some footage of them going through rehearsals and stuff like that, but you can't really hear them talking about, you know, what he wants in this and that and everything else. But it's as you like say, y'all would like that movie just for that weird little
Have you
bit.
guys ever seen Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist? Am I the only one that's seen this movie?
I know of the movie, I haven't seen it.
Oh
That's
my
another
God.
point. There's some movies I don't like, but I'll just listen for the soundtrack.
The soundtrack to that movie.
Because
is
I'm like,
That's a good.
But the movie's like,
I don't think
very indie.
Dairy Dancing, which is
that's your favorite movie,
I don't
isn't
like
it?
that. Yeah, I don't like the movie.
You got the whole
Sorry if y'all
Whole
would like the
setup.
movie, but I don't.
Star Lord would be pretty hurt.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the remake?
What?
Dirty Dancing?
No, I'm
Oh,
talking about the character
I haven't
Star Lord.
seen it.
He's like,
But I mean, the
This is
original,
still the
the
greatest
original
movie
Dirty Dancing movie, I
I've
don't
ever watched.
like. I think it's kind of really hokey and silly.
Very too.
And
I like it.
but the soundtrack is really good though, and I think a lot of people like the soundtrack. That's another thing too, is that people seem to like the soundtrack in movies, but the movie itself, they say it's so great. And I'm not just saying Dirty Dancing; it could be any movie.
Yeah.
They say it's so great a movie, and I mean, but they just really like the soundtrack.
I mean,
So
that's
if you pull away the music, it'd be like,
you literally have shown
Yeah.
that's High School Musical. Like, nobody likes it for the story. The story's terrible. It's so dumb. You're just there because you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the worst music.
Why
You know?
would you be there for that?
I'd love someone to just take that movie and take out all the music and then let the story play out. I bet it'd feel really awkward.
Probably.
yeah.
Like just have dialogue. Not
Yeah,
Probably
just dialogue.
designed around the music, you know?
And it's like, what's happening?
yeah.
Somebody actually did that with Miley Cyrus, one of her music videos. They just took out the music, and oh my, it was so weird.
You just hear like the steps.
You hear the steps,
the moving around.
the moving around,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
images,
I've seen that.
and you feel like you're being mind controlled.
Which one was it though? Was it Wrecking Ball? Oh my god.
I think it was Wrecking Ball.
Oh Lord.
Because she's in the weird diaper underwear.
Yeah.
She's
No,
like,
no, that wasn't Wrecking Ball. That was Can't Stop It.
maybe it was that.
Yeah, where she's like
With
at
the
a
nails.
party.
She had the nails. Yes.
Yeah. Like when she
Watch on
was, like,
YouTube. It's got a lot
really
of
high.
millions of views. It's so funny.
Right.
And then when you go back to hear the music, you're like, oh, that's cool now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so funny. I was like,
Oh my, I gotta find that. I need to watch it. It's good.
So what are some, have y'all ever watched any documentaries about music
Oh.
or anything
Oh,
like that?
yes.
Yeah.
I watched some about the Beatles. There was one on Hulu that they just had. I mean, it's somewhat newer documentary on them during just a tour, basically touring years or whatever it is they called it on the thing. It's okay. It's nothing that I didn't never heard before.
Right.
For me anyway. So it just like Beatles are my favorite band. That was not that. But so just to let y'all know. And so I've watched a lot of different kinds of stuff on them. So it just wasn't nothing new. But you know, somebody who was just coming into the Beatles, you know, it might be interesting.
I might like something like that. It sounds like it's got all the basic general information. Beatles was one of the groups I don't know that much about. You know. Rolling Stones, I tend to know a little more about. You know. I know. Well, it didn't help that I had was sort of seeing somebody that shoved basically the Beatles down my throat all at once, all over one night. I was like, okay, that kind of pushed me away a little bit.
I mean, I'm not.
But I also
I
did hear several songs of theirs that I did like.
You know, I love their music.
You're on a first name.
But,
basis.
I'm
That's
on
even
first name
better.
basis. So like I know this is not a documentary though, but it's a movie. I really love Bohemian Rhapsody. Like I loved it. I like I think Elton John coming out his thing.
A Rocket Man.
Cannot wait to see it.
yeah.
Oh my god, it's going to look so good.
Yeah.
I love his music.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody was good.
It was very good.
The only flack that I sort of see it taking is just like it paints just like this lovely picture of the rock and roll lifestyle in it.
They didn't.
They kept it kind of bright and happy.
Yeah.
You know, and I
It
can
was
get
very
that. I'm
PG-13.
fine with that, but you know.
I mean, you know, it's not the same for everybody, I'm sure, but either way, like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg.
That's a good movie.
I really love that.
was gonna bring
His
that
dad
movie
showed
up.
me that one actually.
Dude, that
My dad
movie-
loves that movie.
It's a really good movie.
I've seen it
Yeah.
more than I've probably lived. So yeah, it's just such a good movie, and like the music in it, a lot of the music I actually played on the way to Shelby that one time was from that. You know, Colorful. You know the song. You said you've seen the movie, right?
Most of it, yeah.
Well, you might have seen it. You know the song Colorful.
Offhand, no.
Okay, what's the
but-
song he sings to her at the end?
Okay.
He's actually playing it.
It's been a little while since
acoustically.
I've seen the movie, but
Either way, I fell in love with that song.
Is that the movie where he falls and he
Yeah.
bleeds and then he gets back up?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
everybody's like, yeah.
That was so good.
I mean,
That was a good
Began
scene.
with like he was better than the lead singer of the band he was
Yeah.
watching. Right?
Yeah.
He was
And-
better.
Yeah.
well, it turned out they were getting rid of the lead singer or whatever.
Right.
And
Yeah, they fired him.
he
For being gay.
he was a leader of a tribute band for that.
Right.
Steel Dragon was the name of the band
Right.
or whatever, and they had the auditions, and he just went
Right.
and
Is it,
auditioned for
was
him.
this loosely based on Judas Priest when Halford stepped out for a while?
I think
I
it
don't-
was
and they
kind
got a
of.
replacement, but the thing is, he didn't. They were just. He took a hiatus. It wasn't because he was a bad singer. He's back in the band now. But
Yeah.
like,
I don't.
I
I
heard
don't
that
know.
somewhere. I wasn't sure.
I
don't
think
know.
I've heard it too, though. I've
Okay.
heard it too.
Okay.
Totally different
I mean,
music,
I'm not
kind of.
It's really good music, actually, and I was surprised because I'm not really into the whole. Not that I'm not into '80s rock, because I am, but not normally am I the
Right.
first person to be like, yeah, I want to hear that. But I love AC/DC and all that good stuff. But yeah, it was really good music. It was really like I was
It
surprised.
is.
But it was a lot of mainstream stuff too. Not mainstream, but like it's a lot of things that were like '90s songs
Right.
that were put in it too. That that I really was into always.
I don't think it did well in theaters, or people were like really.
It didn't.
But I thought it was really good when I watched it. I mean, it was a fictional story, of course, or like you said, it was
Right.
based kind of a little bit on maybe some true story
Jennifer
or whatever.
Aniston
But
did a great job.
yeah, I think
It was
she
a
did.
great cast.
It's interesting too how like a type of music will happen in an area. Like take grunge for instance. Y'all have heard of that in the '90s,
Love
flannel
grunge.
and all that kind of stuff. But stuff came out
Song 41.
like around that
Teen
time,
Spirit.
like the movie. I know you know the movie. You may hate it. Singles
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. But it
Yeah.
came out in that area. It's sort of slice of life stuff, but it's revolves around that world. Like there were grunge bands in it, like Alice in Chains and Soundgarden.
See, that's my kind of
Nirvana
stuff.
wasn't in it, but they were, and some other bands. I think Mother Love Bone, maybe stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just Mary Chain.
Collective Soul was kind of grungy.
Those people were in there. I didn't even notice.
But
'cause I didn't
some
know
of the bands
at
were.
that time.
Yeah, you know, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben Stiller and them. They'd go out to a bar.
You're
and
talking about
there's
no,
Alice in
wait,
Chains, right.
you're not talking about singles.
Singles?
You're talking about
Singles had Matt Damon,
Matt Dillon, yeah.
Matt Dillon in it, and
yeah, but
bunch
are
of
you're talking about crap.
But Singles did have the grunge stuff.
Yeah, but you're talking about
Yeah, there's another one. Yeah.
with Ben Stiller and I can't think of it now.
That was another movie.
That was
about
based
that
around that
same
same time. Yeah, around
time,
that same time.
yeah.
Yeah. Golly.
What's it?
Reality Bites.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
that had Winona Ryder in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loved
yeah,
that movie.
yeah.
I didn't like it.
But both of those movies are around the same.
But I love grungy movies like
kind
that
of
too.
stuff, yeah.
Like if you get a
You know-
grungy movie, you get grungy music.
Then like SLC Punk was about the punk stuff going on around there, and then you have other stuff. A lot of those though tend to be like those are just people around that area. But then you have others that are around certain bands and specific stuff like that. Then you've got like Sid and Nancy. You've got from the late '70s punk era. You know, with y'all ever seen Sid and Nancy?
I know of it.
It's really good. It's a really good movie. You know, it's about Sid Vicious, mainly about Sid Vicious and his crazy girlfriend. At the Sid was crazy too, but just like how that band. What were they called? Never mind the bollocks. It's the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the group. It was about the group, the Sex Pistols and stuff, and how they kind of fell apart. But it begins with all these punks sleeping in the streets of England and stuff, and just like you sort of picked up on how they lived, and then like it's like they don't really practice; they just play these shows and stuff, and it was kind of interesting. You know, of course they pack it with like maybe true, maybe not true if they're in a relationships and stuff. I'm just interested in that kind of stuff. There was another one that I forget the name of it, but it was sort of talked about like this stuff, this music in England going on at the time. Punk was dying, and so it was about this. First part was about a band called Joy Division.
Yeah.
Their lead singer killed himself, and then that band became New Order. It was sort of talking about stuff that you don't know much about, which I kind of enjoyed, for sure.
Oh.
I mean, I hadn't seen. I wasn't into big punks. So, I mean, I can't.
I was a
say
little
that.
bit, but just the movies, like those came out of, when I was in film school, as part of the indie scene stuff people were watching,
Right.
Like the Runaways had a really cool, like the movie itself. Also, did you ever see that?
Yeah.
The Runaways with what's her face that doesn't know how to act at all? Yeah, her. And Dakota Fanning, I love her. Yeah, I watched it for
Yeah, I
her.
thought The Runaways was good.
Dakota Fanning.
Yes.
Yes, she does. Kristen doesn't. Or
She's
Kirsten,
not.
whatever. But that
How
is.
did she get a BAFTA? I don't understand.
How'd she get a what?
She got a BAFTA.
What is that?
It's a British award.
Because she was in a British movie.
I liked Kristen Stewart as Joan Jett.
You know what? No. She did a good job
I
as
liked,
Joan Jett because.
I liked Dakota. I liked what's her name playing Lita Ford too.
Yeah, no, I freaking love her. Ugh. Love her.
Yeah, Scout
Yes,
Taylor.
she's what I had. I am her biggest fan. Her biggest fan.
Yeah.
Just saying. Anyways,
I first heard about them from another movie. Dazed and Confused. Because
Yes.
the song Cherry Bomb was on
yeah,
that.
Cherry
And
Bomb.
I
I love
had
it.
that album, and it's kind of funny how that stuff traces through
Dude, that song kicks
history.
kicks ass in the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
That's so perfect.
It's
Yeah.
such a great song. Oh my
They're
god,
gearing
it's
up.
super good. And I love their whole thing because they were super badass. They were like, we're women and we're here and we can sing rock and roll. They didn't want no men in the band. They were like, no to men.
Right.
And I love that because it was super rebellion.
It's sort of a sketchy manager, but
It was very sketchy, and they had the perfect actor for him. He
Yeah.
gets under my skin.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's super creepy.
That was Michael Shannon.
Yeah.
Shannon. Well, Michael Shannon's creepy anyway, no matter.
Yeah, he
he
is
doesn't even have to act.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's an awesome actor.
He is.
Just a segue.
Again,
A
if he
friend of
acts.
mine worked camera crew on several movies with him in it.
Really.
Let's see. Wow, he's in a lot of stuff. I gotta go back a little bit. Take Shelter was the one I was thinking of. Which, it was just a quiet little movie.
He
but
was
it
in this
really
movie
good.
as this dad.
Jeff Nichols was the director, and Jeff Nichols does a lot of stuff with him in it, like Loving, Mud, Midnight Special, Shotgun Stories, stuff
Dude.
like that.
There was a movie he did that was super good. and the guy, not that guy, but that guy, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Shannon.
And it was he kept his kid in a bed. His kid was in a bedridden. Anyways, what was it called? Can you look back? Because it's gonna drive me crazy, and then we can move on. I just need to know the name.
Gotcha.
What
What year?
2011. The something.
Let's see. We got Return, Take Shelter, The Broken Tower, Machine Gun Preacher, Touch of Evil. That's it.
The festival, not the festival. The something folly.
The Night Before, Complete Unknown.
Sorry.
Midnight Special. You want to go back? Am I too?
Yeah, go back down real quick.
All right. I definitely hear the, since we're talking about music, the Jeopardy music going on in my head right now.
Where is it?
Shotgun Stories, Let's Go to Prison, World Trade Center, Bug, Marvelous, Law and Order, Water, Dead Birds, Criminal.
We're going to the 90s.
Yeah. we're
Okay,
headed
so
there.
it's the.
Blackbird.
Gosh, what is it called?
I don't know.
It's in there. I know it is because I know he's a father in it. I know it's him. It's not like the other day. The Harvest. Okay.
The Harvest. Oh, okay. There you
Yeah.
go. All right.
That was such a phenomenal movie.
2013.
Yeah. Okay, I was completely
I'll
off.
check it out.
Yeah, you need to, man. It's good. Sorry, I didn't mean to waste time.
That's okay. That's okay. Music.
Oh,
As far as musicals go, I'm not a huge musical fan. I'm just not. But
Same.
I have there's a glitch in my system though. Two of the movies that I watched religiously as a kid growing up was Sound of Music and The Wizard of Oz. Both of those are pretty much musicals.
They are.
And I love those movies. And I liked all the songs and all that kind of stuff. And I like the stories. So
I
it's
love
kind of
movies.
strange. You know, but I haven't really picked up. Generally, I don't like watching. I'm not interested in watching musicals.
I think-
They're a little stunted, you know. You're trying to watch a story, and then these people keep randomly singing.
Yeah,
Right.
But when
Just
you
the music
listen
comes
to
out of nowhere.
just the music,
It's beautiful.
it's gorgeous.
Right.
You're like, this is my life.
Yeah, and I have
Has
some
to be the
troubles
story.
there,
Good story
you know.
though.
Like
Moulin Rouge.
La La
Good story.
Land came out, and the filmmaker friend of mine just went on and on and on about La La Land, how he thought I would think it's amazing and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't like,
I actually heard it sucked.
you know.
I did
And
paper on it.
I'm
too.
not gonna
No, yeah.
criticize it one way or another. I saw enough of it, and
It was
what
very pretty.
the most
I
impressive
do know
part
that.
for me was like, how did they pull off those shots?
They were good shots.
That was the impressive part, which is fine. I can take that from a movie and be happy with that. But it's, you know.
But I don't
So-
think it needed to go home with all the awards that it did.
Yeah.
It's who was in it and the cinematography.
yeah.
That's probably why it did. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't seen it. I just
Which
did projects.
cinematography was almost going to be during commercials this year.
Yeah. So like
And editing. It's weird.
the thing is like I think I'm on the same page with you why you don't like musicals, but it's weird because I do love musicals.
Yeah.
At the same time, I could see why if I didn't care for the like it has to have a good story.
Mhm.
Like Moulin Rouge.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say it 1,000 times and I'll say it again.
Right.
I love that movie.
Right.
But you know why I love it? It's the music is they have Elton John, they've
Mhm.
got a whole bunch of great hit songs in it. A lot of Elton John's in it.
Right.
But also what you're seeing, the acting, I love the concept.
Production design and camera work on that and
It has
lighting
to
are
be full
phenomenal.
circle.
Yeah.
Full circle good
Mhm.
for me to enjoy it. And then there it
And
is.
Baz Luhrmann's kind of interesting film. I really liked, and I don't know what you guys are feelings on this, but I really liked his Shakespeare. His
Romeo and Juliet.
yeah, Romeo and Juliet.
Which one? The one with Leonardo
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio?
Mhm.
That was very good.
I liked that movie.
It was different.
Mhm.
It was really
I liked the
arty.
stylization of it. I really thought that was cool. Instead of Renaissance in
Seen that movie.
Italy, Venice Beach in
Yeah.
California.
Super
you know?
creative.
Yeah.
Different. It was very edgy. Like you couldn't. Like it was either gonna be really good or really bad.
Right, and it was pure Shakespeare. The language was.
Yeah, no, that
All
was
kind of
super
stuff. It was
confusing for me.
It was cool at the time.
At the time, yeah, but you know, as an adult, I still can't even understand it, can't comprehend it.
Right.
But I couldn't do it. I'd be like, my head hurts now. Can we stop talking? Can we just look at each other? But anyways, yeah, no, that was really good. But I like Les Mis. I think we talked about there. Les Mis. I always say Les Mis.
Les Miserables.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna say the whole thing. There's a shorter way to say it.
Yeah, there you go.
Les Mis.
Les Mis. I always say Les Mis. I don't know why.
That's me.
Anyways, I actually am a fan. I just don't know how to pronounce it for some reason. because it's kind of catchy. But I love their music too. I just
Right.
have to be in the mood
Mhm.
to
Just
watch
don't
it.
get Russell Crowe to sing.
That
don't get
seems
Russell
like it
Crowe
would
to
be a
sing.
no-brainer. But, you know.
When she sang that song, "I Dream, a Dream," oh, I had that on my iPod or on my phone.
Uh-huh.
I listen to it when I'm in a bad mood because
Right.
it just sometimes makes me feel better to hear her voice.
Mhm.
She can sing her butt off.
Right.
Like that woman killed me. I cried like a baby every time I watched that scene. Like she really did a good job. That's probably the best scene I've ever seen in a movie, as far as singing
Oh, it was
goes.
gorgeous. Yeah, it was really, really good.
Oh my god. Okay.
No, my favorite part though in the movie is when he pins his Medal of Honor on the little boy that died.
Yeah. Oh, sad.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
when
sounds
I
like a
broke
t-shirt.
down weeping in the theater.
It's extremely sad, emotional movie,
Oh yeah.
but it's a great musical too.
Well, I'm going to talk about this movie. I'm indifferent to this movie, maybe, but on a level of, it's based on a play or musical, like similar to Sound of Music was doing and all that stuff. But
Right.
they did a movie on Mamma Mia or whatever,
Oh,
and,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Great movie.
and then kind of to it because I don't know how the musical is on stage. I've never seen it, so I can't compare it.
Right.
I mean, there's some aspects of it that I was just like, why are they singing? What does this song have to do with what they were talking
What
about?
they're going through. Yeah.
Were there at that moment in time? There was a couple of different songs that they were put in there that I'm like, is this from how the stage play was put out, or is it in a different section of the stage play or whatever?
Mhm.
Because there were some songs that made no sense. I mean, I like their song. I like Alba's songs. I really
Yeah.
liked
Oh,
Alba
yeah.
way before this whole situation happened. But there was a song I'll just use an example. The song toward the end where she's singing the song "A Winner Takes All."
Yeah.
That song is and it's doesn't make any sense to the point of what the storyline's going on in the movie.
Yeah.
Because why is she singing toward Pierce Brosnan? She doesn't even know he's married or not. It just like he's not married. Why is she singing that? But she doesn't know that. But why wasn't she ever? I mean, like I said, it doesn't make any sense that the way the song is about a woman who broke up with a man he's gotten with another woman, and she's longing for him or whatever. That's basically what the song is about.
Yeah.
And that's what it is there. And she's singing to him, and it just doesn't make any sense to me as much as the movie goes connecting with it. Again, maybe they do it better in the stage play. Maybe it's a completely different way they do it in the stage play. But it just doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure if y'all seen the movie
I
or.
have a couple good times.
Okay.
I tried to watch the first one on Netflix, but I couldn't get through it.
Really?
Really.
You just don't like the music, or you just didn't like the story, or how you?
The music,
Super
yeah,
bubbly.
the music and the story kind of. I was like, I can't.
Yeah, it's very bubbly.
Nope. Not
I
today.
love
I
the
mean-
main characters.
It's okay.
Like I love her. I just love her voice. She's a beautiful singer too. What's her name?
Pierce Brosnan is not a singer.
Yeah, Amanda Seyfried. Have you ever seen Dear John? There's like this part where she's singing.
Amanda Seyfried.
Seyfried.
Yeah.
Seyfried.
Yeah, there's this part where she's singing. She has the most gorgeous voice. Then we listened
It
to the
is,
song.
yeah, it's very pretty.
We did listen to
I
the song
commented
to
on that.
Shelby. Yeah.
Yes.
I love, I love a pretty,
Pierce,
pretty voice.
just don't get Pierce Brosnan singing any songs. But anyway,
Yeah,
uh,
he does
Bless,
suck.
He tried.
I swear.
He tried.
He did try. I'd be
We
like,
just wish he had.
Anybody ever heard of
Okay.
Pink Floyd's
Chuck
The
Wall,
Wall?
really.
yes.
Yes.
Love that movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty
Been a
neat.
long time.
Pretty weird.
Yeah. I love Pink
But
Floyd.
you gotta like Pink Floyd, I
Yeah,
think,
I
to
love Pink
appreciate the movie for sure. Which it's probably one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, no, it's a great band.
Yeah.
I listened to them actually yesterday.
And I also loved cartoons, so just kind of
Mhm.
it was built for me.
Yeah.
Even though it's a strange movie.
It is strange.
Good director, Alan Parker. You don't really hear about him much, but he did a lot of films I liked.
Alan Parker.
Yeah. He did. Strangely enough, he did Fame, which isn't one of my.
really,
Yeah. Alan
I don't think I've
Parker.
ever seen the whole movie Fame before.
Fame with Kelsey Grammer? Or am I thinking
I'm
of something
thinking
The
different?
original Fame with.
Irene Cara and
There it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
1980.
Yeah, that's about it was a big TV show for
Yeah,
a long
it
time.
is.
It was
It
about an
is.
arts
Yeah.
school, dance, singing, all that kind of stuff. Who were some of the...
Wasn't a lot of big stars in that movie.
No. Eddie Barth, Irene Cara, Lee Carreri. I don't really know who any of them are, but Parker
Did it say it had
did
Laura
a lot of
Dern
cool stuff.
at the bottom there?
Huh?
Did it say it had Laura Dern there in the bottom? Or-
Yeah, no, Laura Dean. Yeah. So bunch of unknowns really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe they were known at the time, but time can be cruel.
I don't think they were.
That's cool.
Yeah, because
He did. I liked Angel Heart, and he's done a lot. I mean, he did a bunch of music videos too. But anyway,
One movie
he was
I
one of the
did-
British directors that came in with Ridley Scott and a bunch of those guys.
I know they did a remake, which he was talking about. You were, I think the one. When
See,
you
I didn't watch all of it, but
Oh, okay.
Walk the Line,
Oh,
the
Oh,
Johnny
yeah,
I gotta
Cash.
go.
I like that movie. I thought that was good. You out of here, Aiden?
Yeah, I gotta go get the Edna's again.
All right. Hey, I like your shirt, Crazy Clown.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hello Scream saw the last time I went there. All right, guys.
All right.
See
ya.
See y'all.
Yep.
we were saying, Balk Line.
Walk the Line. The scene where he's doing Folsom Prison.
Mhm.
I love that one
Oh,
because
yeah.
Folsom Prison is one of my favorite songs.
Oh, I like that song
Just
too.
driving,
And-
I have a CD and I'll put it in and I'll be like Folsom Prison and
I
I'm
just
happy.
know he was at a prison performing it for the prisoners.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah, Johnny Cash is one of those cool. He's sort of a legend, you know,
Oh,
in
yeah.
a way. You never hear anything really that horrible about him. You just hear the usual
And
tropes
the
of a traveling
wearing
musician.
black
and that kind of
because he
stuff.
identified with the sun.
Mhm.
I love Johnny Cash. Actually, one of my favorite uses of a song in a television show. Has anyone ever heard of Person of Interest?
I've heard of
Heard
it.
of it.
Alright,
the
it's
show.
Christopher Nolan's little brother.
Yeah. Okay.
Produced and wrote it, but
Cool.
the main character, his love interest, is murdered.
Uh-huh.
So the episode right after that, because this is I think the third season out of 5,
Mhm.
is Hurt. The whole song of Johnny Cash's Hurt.
Right. Oh yeah.
He's built up a better life, like he's become a better human, the main character has, and then he's searching for her murderer.
Right.
So he's basically pulled off all the good that's happened, and
Right.
he's gone back to who he was before, and so
Oh
it's
yeah. I like that version of Hurt better than the original
Nine Inch
Nine Inch
Nails,
Nails
yeah.
version, which I liked it when they did it, of course. You know,
Yeah.
and it was incredible.
it was
But
great.
his-
But then
his
that's
stuff
so
was really
haunting,
good.
and
Yeah.
it fit perfectly with the situation, and
Mhm.
it's still one of my absolute favorites.
Well, he came out with that right at the time. I think his wife passed away.
Right.
She when it came out, when the music video and everything came out, she had died, and then he died 3 months after it came out.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
died pretty close to that. Yeah, that was a great album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, his
Um,
last album and Bowie's last album, both really remarkable.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Interesting how, I mean, film and shows and stuff how much they are integrated with the soundtrack and stuff too. Like that is kind of interesting. Like here lately, there's all these, you have all this talk of remembering the past and stuff like that. And something that really can do that really quickly is just a simple song that you put into something.
Yep.
Especially if it's something that you lived through like 10, 20, 30 years ago. And it's like, oh yeah. And it makes you think about a whole time, It's powerful, I think.
Guardian, you brought up Guardians 2 soundtrack, which was good. There's a song on there that I found interesting when I researched a little bit about it, called Father and Son. It's one of the
at the
last
end,
songs.
Cat
Yeah.
Stevens.
Yeah. I thought when I first heard it, or it was one of the times I first heard it, I think I might have heard it
Yeah.
maybe once or something like that during my time, but when I heard it on the movie, I heard it, I was like, oh, that's a good song. And then I, of course, went on YouTube and found it and listened to it. And I even watched, see the words of it or whatever, and listen to words of it. I thought it was about a father talking to a son who's turned away from him and saying, I don't want to listen to you. I'm trying to tell you. The father is maybe dying, maybe of a terminal illness or something like that. It's the opposite. I researched it where if you listen to the song and the way his voice goes, because at the beginning he sings a very low voice, whatever. Then he goes up an octave in the next thing, and it's basically when he's in his low voice, it's the father talking to the son, and then when he goes up an octave, it's the son talking to the father, or talking about his father. And so it's basically about a son who's probably maybe in his early 20s, maybe late teens, early 20s, about to leave, needs to go and find his way in the world. And it's the father telling him, saying, you don't need to, just hang out here, and and you need to grow up a little bit more, or whatever type thing. But his son is trying to. I found that interesting. That's nothing to do necessarily with soundtracks and music, but it was just an interesting way of the way he did that song, because, like I said, his voice just goes up an octave, and the son's talking then. And I've never heard a song like that before, where it's always been, one side thing, of a person talking about a lost love or whatever type thing, and that there's but he does it both sides of the equation or whatever. And I just found that interesting.
Oh yeah. Very cool. I was just sort of looking a little more at Alan Parker. He actually had a hand in a lot of the music itself and stuff he was doing. Like he even. He directed Evita, right? But he also was a producer on the music they recorded for that movie. Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, which was kind of a big hit at the time, and that kind of stuff. A lot of the stuff he produced that came on that Evita thing. There you go. He did music videos for Madonna, so that explains that whole connection. But he wrote the lyrics for something in the really kind of quirky movie called The Road to Wellville. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it, but
I've heard of it.
Kind of interesting about the dude that invented all these cereals back in the day and stuff. But he even wrote he directed Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, or he had something to do with it, but he had something to do with some of the music written for that, It's
I don't know if that's
interesting.
something to bring about. Anyway, go ahead.
I would, man. A lot of people, enough people like that movie. Enough people do. He did a lot of music-oriented stuff. The Commitments. He was the director of that.
I do want to see that. I heard that movie.
I don't think I've seen it.
But we've talked about before about the That Thing You Do, which is really good. And I saw a little clip of it the other night, and it's just them at that contest or whatever at the beginning or somewhat at the beginning of the movie, where the drummer starts going really fast, and it's originally a love song that's like a slow ballad, and he starts beating or whatever like that. It's really good, fast, starting them up and everything, and he says, "No, stop!"
Right.
And they were in the middle of a contest where they can't stop or whatever type of thing, so he starts, and that's where they get the kind of the rhythm of the song or whatever type thing, the way they do the song. It's really interesting. It's funny to see that scene.
I think as equally as music can make a piece powerful, I think it's also, there's the flip side to that. Would y'all agree? Where too much is used, or it's almost like washing over the thing that kind of reduces its effectiveness too.
I hate and this is just me, but some movies, to me, the music doesn't match it, and it kind of takes me out of it.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Like some certain movies, they have a lot of them, the sad songs, a lot of them, there's a lot of good ones, but there's a lot of ones that it's it's just not working.
Right.
It's not on.
Fit the
It's not fitting the right energy. I don't know if that's just me with movies, but there's sometimes with the soundtrack with the instrumental, I'm like.
Right. You got an example? Like you were talking about the other day, I think.
Which one? Oh, it was Guardians 2.
Right.
When he's taking the what's the guy, the blue guy?
Yondu.
When he's dying. I don't know that this is just me, my profession. It's that song. It doesn't make me tear up or sad.
Right.
It doesn't make me. It makes me just. I don't know. And I remember watching. And I was like,
It makes it almost like a silly moment.
To me, it does. I don't know. That's just. It's just me. But
What song you're talking about?
towards the end, when he's flying up and he's like,
It's a part of the score.
yeah, the score, and he's like, no.
Oh, okay.
And he like tells him to go. You know, puts the suit on him, and
Oh.
he dies in space.
Right.
It just.
Do you think if they had just maybe no score there and it just had been that?
Maybe I don't know. It's
Yeah,
just
then
again,
effective.
I'm weird, I guess, with certain movies.
No.
Because it wasn't hitting me, and that's another reason why. You know, I love James Gunn in the movies, but
Sure.
it's one of the main things why I didn't like that movie as much
I
as.
wonder when times like that happen, or maybe either score, or maybe even just the soundtrack itself, their song. It's just like they have an artist, a song, and they just like, well, we have already paid for these rights. We might as well throw it in there, whatever
Yeah.
type thing. And it's just
Yeah.
like,
Right.
that's why some of those sometimes it does. I mean, it happens to me too in movies where, or even
I was say,
television shows.
is everyone like that with certain movies?
Yeah.
Or you're just like, it's
Shows too.
not feeling it?
Yeah, TV shows definitely. It was recent TV shows.
Yeah. Star Trek Discovery. I have a lot of problems. I like the show. I do. But I got some problems with what they do and how they really push drama in it. It's like, it's a little, you're making me care about it less by doing that. It's this big wash of strings and you're supposed to really care in this moment. And I'm like, you're just totally pushing me away.
I mean, we were talking about the other day. There was a show which is on Netflix, all 5 seasons of it, I think is on Netflix now. But Longmire, which is, I like the show because it's kind of a mixture of maybe a little bit of Western. I'm not a big Western fan, but I really kind of, because it takes place in Wyoming, a small town in Wyoming. And it's a recent show. It takes place, current time, and it's about a sheriff, and he's an old school sheriff. He doesn't carry a phone at all. He has deputies carry phones and all that stuff, but he doesn't carry a phone. Anyway, it's and some of that stuff. It's a Western type show. It's got Katie Sackhoff in there, if you know her. Anyway, but then they'll throw in like these jazz songs in there all of a sudden out of nowhere, and it's
Really?
just like
Jazz? Really?
and I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Whether you like jazz or don't like
Yeah.
jazz, whatever,
But
it
with
just
the
throws it
Western
really
feel,
out.
that's- yeah.
It's just jarring because it's like they'll do a scene, go to a scene, and they'll start playing a jazz song. I'm like, what? And it doesn't go with any kind of the scene coming up or
Figured
anything
it
was
should
going
be
on.
an
And
acoustic country guitar or a steel
it
guitar or something.
it just seems like they just like I said, they seem to have rights to them, or it's like we got rights to them, we might as well throw it in there,
Or executive producer, well, my
friend, my son has
It's
a jazz
gotta be in
band or
there,
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
You
like,
don't know.
I just like, it's just, that's what it's weird. It's weird, just
Yeah.
even for the first episode, which I still like the show itself because the other stuff is good. I think it's
Right.
real written and everything like that.
Yeah.
But just like that kind of stuff, because it doesn't happen in every episode, but it happens occasionally in an episode, and it's just like,
no, that music belongs like
jarring.
in Mississippi and in New Orleans
Yeah.
or in
Yeah.
jazz
Right.
clubs. And
Why-
stuff.
why do you think
that
it-
kind of story, yeah.
Some of it, like, we're like that with movies, like the certain soundtrack it doesn't fit us. Why do you think it's like that to some people?
All kinds of reasons.
Like,
I think, I love classical music, and those old movies that John Williams scored, Spielberg's and stuff. I'm fine with all of it,
Mhm.
all the way through. Some people complain about Jaws having too much music in it, but I'm fine with it. But then, like, same kind of music in this. I think how it's used, in what way it's used, because in the Star Trek thing, that's classical music again. I love it, but it just pushes that. I don't know how to. It makes it so heavy-handed, the drama,
Mm-hmm.
that it just, it
Think
doesn't work for me for that.
John Williams
Yeah.
would pull back. You
Yeah.
know, if
Mm.
yeah, I mean
Sure.
that's how we got the
Yeah.
da da da. It's
Mhm.
like it's mysterious.
Yeah.
So and
It
then
fits.
people don't really do that
Mhm. This is
anymore.
just
They're like, throw it all in there.
It's like
Throw it all
Get
in there.
everything.
It's like they're putting mayonnaise on a sandwich. Oh, let's just push all the
Yeah.
music over the whole thing. It makes it all one unit.
And
It's all
more
stuck
is not
together.
always
No.
more.
No. there's this, you don't know this movie, but there's a, not to be confused with Akira Kurosawa, but there's a current director, no relation, named Kiyoshi Kurosawa in Japan. And he did this movie 15 years ago called Charisma. And hardly any music ever in the whole thing, except this one scene where something happens, and out of nowhere, this music happens, and it's just like, you hear it and you start smiling and all this, and it's like, he totally gets you. You know, because there's nothing to the whole thing, and
I
bam,
gotcha.
and this, all it is like the action is this girl realizes something and then runs across a field. But that music is just like perfect. You know, the Charisma actually, incidentally, is about a tree named Charisma that everybody's fighting over. But anyway, it's kind of neat. But it was really, I was like, well done. You know, it's kind of interesting.
It's kind of funny when I was talking about the guy. You're like, would it be better with no music? And I think a lot of death scenes, I think there's some that are good with no music.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh,
You know.
it's like this is real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you know, minute and a half tops if they have something to say while they're dying.
Yeah.
But you know, that even seems painfully long.
Yeah. Oh, for real.
Yeah. You know, now, but what is, when it does work though, is like, you know, someone gets killed and you see the look of horror on the person's face and then they have the rise
Well,
up. That'll do it.
I'll tell you the one that got me that worked, that
Yeah.
was dead on for me, was Logan.
Oh, yeah?
I thought that was beautiful. I was
At
just
the end
in
when X dies.
yeah,
right?
and he's just holding his hand. You know, I was like, to me, I was like, that was
Oh, yeah.
that was really good. Like, but yeah.
For sure. It's like that music just plays in. You feel sad. It makes you, it enhances the feeling. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. I can think of, they didn't die, but you thought he was, when Gandalf gets aced. In
Oh, that is-
the first movie.
Yeah, again, you're like,
That's
And you got the
completely
swell.
silent.
you watch it again and again, and you still, I mean, still, you're like,
Every
oh man.
You want to cry. You know?
Like, and just-
I liked Boromir stuff too. And
Oh,
there was no
Lord.
music for that one.
Oh, yeah.
It was the writing.
Yeah. The one, you talking about where Pippin was singing?
Yeah.
And he's writing to his
That's
death,
such a
basically.
good
Good
scene.
Lord, that one.
That is
yeah.
so-
And then
Such a-
it has that silent moment.
Oh God.
And you just hear the, like,
and
the
he's
horses
just eating
running.
The
like-
close-ups of the steward of Gondor
Mhm.
eating like tomatoes
Oh
and
my
stuff.
dude, I swear. Even when I was young, I knew that was a good, like, that was
Oh,
like straight A filmmaking, you
Pippin
know?
gets up and
That makes you
swims
feel
out, just like,
sick.
"No."
It does. I remember I did it one time when I was eating tomatoes, and I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
That was a good
Going
one.
on these.
Oh my God. It's like, how
Perfect,
can you
though.
not cry when you hear that, you know?
And Billy Boyd did that like on a lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the little thing.
He did, yeah.
I love Billy Boyd with
Yeah.
all my heart.
Yes,
Actually,
indeed.
Last Goodbye, one of my favorite, I guess you could call it theme.
Yeah.
Not really, ish, maybe.
Mhm.
For the last Hobbit movie. Did not like the last Hobbit movie a whole lot, but
Same.
the end of the song, it pulled at your heartstrings and it made you
I'll tell you
feel-
what a kick-ass song was in The Hobbit was when there's the beginning, the first part, where they're all in the house and they're singing.
Well, that's straight out of
That's out of the
straight
book.
out of the
That's
book.
Tolkien.
But dude, oh my god, that was just, I was sitting there like, I swear everyone in the theater was just singing with it.
Yeah. They do that in the cartoon too, I think.
Did they really?
I think so, yeah.
That was perfect.
Mhm.
Again, like, I get all excited like a kid in the toy store
That's
when,
cool.
when it's like when it's working with me. I'm like,
Oh, me and my
It's
wife sing
Tolkien
that
is
song. We
great,
sing
yeah.
that, and they did another one. They didn't do it in that, but 15 Birds, I think, is also out of the book. And we break into that sometimes in the house
oh,
and laugh. And we of course, remember the original Bakshi animated stuff is where we pulled some of that from.
Way scarier Gollum, actually.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
And the
for sure.
goblins. We were all disappointed by the goblins in
Yeah.
the Hobbit. They were way
no.
scarier in the cartoon.
In the cartoon, they're small orcs. You know, they're kind of more. In the movie, they were sort of just. Yeah.
I will say I love that scene in The Hobbit where the Goblin King's like
It's
taunting
amazing.
Gandalf,
Oh, Lord,
and he goes,
yeah.
"What will you do?" And he just cuts him. He goes, "That'll do it." I thought that was
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah.
I love that first part movie, man. That was a good.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid. Like I was
Really
like,
well,
that's what we
yeah.
want, and it just kind of.
Yeah, perfect cast. I don't have a problem with anybody casting that movie
I
or
know.
anything like that. You know, just don't make it 3
Oh
2.5
man,
hour movie.
it should have
It
been.
had to be
Wouldn't it have been
this
beautiful
night,
if it was
yeah.
just one movie
Yes.
and it was a 2-hour movie and it was just this journey? And it's just the little
Even
movie.
3,
I mean, it
but
makes
one.
sense. It's the little movie
'Cause
to
in
the big
book,
thing.
You're
It's
hardly
the
ever
Hobbit.
in the river town. You're not with those people. He
Yeah.
just shows up at the end and doink, and that's it.
I need to
it's
go re-edit it the way like it should have been
just-
shortened
Yeah.
and just sell it to people
I
for free.
love Radagast,
Here.
but he's not in that story.
Yeah.
It's all kind of crazy. Sorry, we're nerding out on
Sorry, I get nerd on
Tolkien
that.
stuff. Yeah.
I mean, all the stuff with the necromancer was indeed happening at the time where they say it's happening, but
Yeah.
have that be smaller than it was. It didn't need to be anywhere near
No, it
that,
did not.
that involved. In fact, it's better to have the mystery.
I agree.
Do all those dwarves die in it too?
No, some live.
Because
Yeah,
in
the
the like
more died than there were. The 3 that died. and
like how does the
three
book
that
end?
died.
Like does it, they kill the dragon and they go home, or is there something else?
Yeah, it's
That's
just
it.
Kinda
There's the
after the
whole
Battle of
battle
Five
and then-
Armies.
No, was that in the book?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Read
that was.
Yeah,
the,
totally.
listen to the audiobook.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great. It's
The
wonderful.
Eagles come in.
So why
pick
didn't it
up
work in the
goblins
movie?
and drop 'em out.
Why didn't it work in the movie then? Because the battle just didn't.
They focused on things that they shouldn't have
Yeah.
been focusing on.
Yeah,
Okay.
they created a lot of storylines that didn't exist.
They
Like
created
I do,
the whole fight that didn't happen.
Yeah, Oakenshield thing with the.
If they had done it where the
Yeah.
screen just went black when Bilbo gets knocked out and then he wakes up and the whole thing is over, I would have loved that.
Right.
That would have
Actually, would
been
have been
great.
pretty good.
Yeah.
That would have
Yeah,
been pretty
And
good.
they got some of the stuff with his interactions with the dragon a little off, but whatever. Sorry, Randall.
I'm just like, I like the Real Lord of the Rings movies. I wasn't a really big Hobbit movies, and so that's why.
Interesting
Lord
though,
of
in
the
the
Rings
original
was
story that Tolkien put in music. He created the music, the words, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff from all his research and
What a
stuff
genius.
like that.
He is a genius.
Really cool. And that stuff, he's dead, but that stuff has the test of time. Here we are still talking.
Hard work
I mean,
pays
yeah,
off.
you read the book and you get to every song and you feel it.
Yeah, you imagine, and
Wow.
Crack the Dishes song is about pretty much how it's described. They go a little crazy with the dishes perfectly rolling on things and going around and stuff, but you can kind of let that go.
Dwarves have small magic.
They do.
But actually, if we're talking about the music of The Hobbit and
Yeah,
the
oh, yeah.
Lord of the Rings, they do the old fashioned, have the whole orchestra,
Yeah,
and
they
then
do.
the conductor's looking at the screen.
That's what I want when I make a
Really
movie.
complicated. Like they'll have a
I love that.
but then they'll bring in a whole other group that does this kind of music, and they'll record them, all kinds of choirs they would bring in and interesting stuff.
Oh, my favorite. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, geez.
With the da da da, and they did the whole. Oh Lord, help me. They remade, redeveloped the whole how it would have been recording that with the orchestra
Oh yeah.
and with the two ladies and the whole big production that
Right.
that is making that song.
Yeah.
But it feels so simple.
Right. You're talking about they took the original one from The Good and Bad and the Ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
yeah,
they-
and then they did that.
They did it as a live.
Going back to the
orchestral
original though,
thing.
I remember that from being a kid. All those westerns for Clint Eastwood and stuff ended up with, especially those, the Sergio Leone ones had that crazy kind of music at the beginning that you'll never forget.
Yes,
It's just,
and then everyone uses it.
yeah.
I want Westerns to come back.
I want to make some. I've
want
got
them
some
to come
ideas rolling around in my head. I want to do one about that takes place before the Revolutionary War. It's I guess it's not out west. It's here in the mountains in western North Carolina. But
Yeah.
it takes place with settlers and Native Americans and stuff. But a small story in the woods, but really using the beauty of the mountains. That's why I kind of wanted to make films here, was because of where I live. Where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never see that in any of the movies, and you can get permission to shoot on the Parkway and wherever. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous. You can't pay for sets that good looking, Neat. Yeah. Talking about music, like, I always made the music for all of my movies when I was younger, and I was totally into that, still make music to this day. I have, like, spindles of discs filled with noise I made in college and stuff, and I'm using some of that today.
It's good.
It used to be on tape,
pretty cool.
And like 10 years ago I put it onto CD, and now I'm using it, I'm glad I saved all that stuff. and I can reshape it and retool it for whatever I'm doing today, which is kind of neat. And I don't have to pay somebody.
I wish I'd known more about how everything works, because I used to just go on YouTube and find stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I give credit, but it's not the best way to.
But you got, I mean, that's okay.
But now I'm making
what
my
I did.
own music now.
My first movie, I've got 9 Inch Nails songs in it and stuff like that. I can't obviously really do anything with it,
Let me screaming at you.
Yeah.
I love that I got copyrighted for Girls Want to Have Fun
Right.
from Sony, and I wrote them an email and explained because I forgot,
Mhm.
and then they were so cool about it. But yeah, I like how I've grown and realized
Mhm.
how big of a deal that is,
Now,
and how
if you're
expensive it
making
is.
Money off of somebody's music.
Oh,
without
yeah.
permission, They still have to give you a cease and desist first before they outright sue you. So that's the main thing. And YouTube's just got an automatic thing; they'll just shut you down.
Yep.
You're not going to get in trouble. Or what happens to me is I shot a lot of bands and stuff. I'll get a warning, but it'll be like, "Hey, the band's making money off of your video." That's fine.
That's what I'm saying. You're doing YouTube.
'Cause
Like,
then
I'm
they
like,
pop
hey,
up
you
the
can have the money.
commercials, so they can have the half a cent a year that I make off of that video. Sure, I don't care. They aren't letting me make money off of it anymore. I don't care. Not that I did make anything
Right.
to begin with. Yeah. Well, we're about a little bit over an hour in. Are there any other areas of music and stuff? I feel like we could talk about music all day. I'm just kind of drawing some blanks today for some reason, but anything
Watch
else?
the movie Sing Street. It's a really good movie.
Sing Street.
Mm-hmm. It didn't do, like I said, it didn't get gangbusters like box office or whatever type
Right.
thing, and it should be watched by people who like music.
Okay. Huh. Sing Street.
Mhm.
Look that up real quick.
And
Okay. I recognize the cover. It's just one of those I never did like focus on. It's got a few actors in it.
The Hunt for Wilder People is really good too.
Huh.
If y'all like what's his name?
Yeah.
Taika.
Hunt for the Wilder People.
That's
yeah.
a really funny movie.
Huh. Or Wilder People. Huh. Cool. So it's just, what about this song? Is it just about a guy who really likes music, or is it about
well, he basically gets a band together at a school. I mean, this takes place in
It's always a girl.
the 80s?
and
To impress a girl.
Dublin now. Dublin.
Always a girl.
Okay.
Dublin, and it doesn't have word playing whatever. Anyway, it's not, they're not thinking,
Kill each other.
saying, and never mind. Anyway, it's a good movie, and it's about a boy who is just basically wants to impress a girl, and he tries to get a band together,
Right.
and he's into MTV. They still can watch MTV over there and all that stuff. So he's always trying to.
Was he playing like
have a
sort of
look.
folk music from the area?
No,
or was he
this
playing
is
modern.
modern
Right.
music, whatever. He writes songs with another guy, and but they play original songs or whatever, and but they go kind of influences. Each song is an influence of what he
Something
he
like-
shows, from the videos he's singing or whatever type thing. The influences. It's really it's funny. It's got some funny moments to it. It's got some drama moments too.
Cool.
But it's a really funny movie.
I'll have
A good
to-
movie.
I'll have to check it out.
It's on a Netflix if you want to stream it. So I mean,
There's a lot of interesting. Yeah, I'm totally gonna watch that. I'm interested. Have y'all ever heard of one called Quadrophenia? Yeah, pretty interesting. I don't know if y'all realize it, but back in the day, there was a subculture of youth in England called mod. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wore suits and nice-looking clothes and
That's
stuff,
kind of
and
a
they were
thing in China now.
right. I can see that, and they're really heavily. They were really into a lot of of the huge African American music coming out of the States at that time. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank, but one of the biggest like music labels at that time, when you think of African American music in the 60s and the 50s and 40s, Motown. Yeah, they were listening to like lots of that kind of stuff, and is what they were interested in. Which is pretty interesting. And then you had the other half of the kids in England. They wore leather and they were called rockers. Sort of a precursor to punk and stuff. They were, of course, Rolling Stones or any kind of rock band and stuff. So they would fight and stuff. But it was about those subcultures, which I also find kind of interesting. And a lot of those subcultures revolve around music. They have sort of that kind of identifying kind of factor about it, and I'm kind of interested in that stuff too, sociologically. Find it neat. And on that, the room appears to be. It appears we're exhausted. We've done all we can do. So this is the P114 podcast signing out for today. We'll see you later.